Hey guys, welcome back to Everyday Faith. Happy Monday to you. It's a typical Monday morning over here. I don't know if you can hear, but in the background there's like sirens and ambulances and fire trucks. So just standard New York City weekday start to your week. So we have a scripture today from Matthew chapter 4, verse 19. It says this: Jesus called out to them, "Come follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people." From the very first moment Jesus called his 12 disciples, he was concerned with creating a heritage of faith. His very first invitation was an invitation to make a difference in people's lives. Jesus' primary interest was making disciples who would go and make disciples. And 2,000 plus years later, and that interest has not waned. Jesus is still calling his followers to become fishers of men by inviting them to share his message of grace and redemption with others. Listen to the sentence, a legacy is only potent when it's passed from one person to another, from one generation to the next. You have been welcomed into this incredible privilege as well when you gave your life to Jesus. So how will you respond? Or better said, what will your legacy of faith look like? That's a great question and a great challenge for us, because I think, if you don't know, my wife and I started a church here in New York City. And one of the things that we realized is that it's not, we weren't just called to start like a church or a place where people can come and worship on a Sunday like we did yesterday. But we're called to help people like grow and become like Jesus. And part of that process is helping others grow and become like Jesus, discipleship. And that's legacy. I think there's, we may use this later on in the month, I don't know, but there's a verse in 1 Timothy, or where Paul writes to 2 Timothy, where Paul writes and says, "Timothy, the things you've learned from me, teach to other faithful people who then can teach others as well." And so it's like 4 generations. Like that's legacy. Legacy is about passing down. A legacy of faith is about passing down what we know about Jesus. And so it's kind of a gut check question. But the question that I want to ask you today is who in your life is becoming more like Jesus because of you? Who in your life is becoming more like Jesus because of you? In other words, what legacy of faith are you kind of impacting or passing on to someone else? And I think this is a great question to ask. It's challenging. But let's do this. I'll drop a question maybe in the Facebook group as well. And let's have a conversation around it, and let's start some dialogue around this and see how we can encourage each other in this way. So hope you guys have a great day and a great start to your week. And I'll be back here with you tomorrow as we continue with day number 5. I'll see you then.